Hey guys, welcome to the Mom Show. I'm your host, Courtney Doyle, and this is a place I am giving you permission to not have it all together. Welcome back to the Mom Show, friend. Today's conversation is for every mom who's ever felt the crushing pressure to get everything right, to be the perfect Christian mom, to hold her family together at all costs, to fix it all, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. My guest today is Sheena Heinrichs, a teacher, writer, and mom of 4 grown children, joining us all the way from Vancouver, Canada. Sheena shares her journey from growing up in a broken and painful home to trying to build the perfect one, and how that pursuit nearly broke her. She opens up about that silent war of control she waged within herself, the physical toll it took on her health, and the powerful truth that changed everything. The gospel is for moms, too. Whether you're parenting littles or navigating the adult years, this episode will leave you breathing a little deeper and hopefully letting go a little more. So take a deep breath. Let's dive in. Guys, welcome back to the show. Today, my guest is coming from Vancouver, Canada. I wish that I could have traveled to sit with you, because then I would have escaped the Texas heat that is coming my way, because I'm sure your temperatures are much better than mine right now, Sheena. So welcome
Mhm.
to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Courtney. This is so fun.
Yeah,
I would
the
love a little more
power of
heat right now, but not
technology.
that much. Yes.
As you know, Sheena, we're in a season where we are talking about help. I'm a
Mhm.
mom who, and so I
Mhm.
want you to fill that blank in for us.
I'm a mom who would love to not see other women crushed by the pressures of motherhood so that they can
Mm,
enjoy, so that they can enjoy.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're saying that because you're speaking from experience. Can you tell me a little bit about your personal experience as a mom?
At the moment, my children, I have 4 children, aged 20 to 26. And the 26, that's a hard one to believe. But anyway, it's true. And I grew up, I've been married to a wonderful Christian husband. We've been married for almost 28 years. And I grew up in a very broken home. And when we got married, I was very naively optimistic about how perfect I was going to create my family. Like I was going to get everything right. And
Mm,
just to bump ahead a little bit, just I have learned that is such a common pitfall. People who've grown up in very broken, abusive homes where I heard somebody describe it, it's like you're doing trench warfare. And if I had heard that term early on, it would have been really helpful because you are doing double duty.
mm,
But yeah, I will get to that more later. But so as they were growing, the pressure I was putting on myself to be the perfect Christian mom, not just the perfect mom, which is hard enough, but the perfect Christian mom. So doing everything. So my church would look like I was looking at this godly mom, they knew all their verses. We even homeschooled for a while to make it look even more impressive. And all those things are fabulous. It's just the place it was coming from, the motivation it was
mhm,
coming from. And it was so incredibly crippling. I look back at the amount of pressure, what it did to me, even physically,
mm,
for years. And I know my husband would try to speak into it, but I think I even I would even hide it from him. So I think the sad thing looking back was how much of from the outside, it's not even that I look perfect. I even was so crafty that I looked so relatable. I was actually funny about my parenting and I would look super chill to the world, and my friends thought I was like the laid back one. And inside, I was absolutely just in so much, just like a knotted up inside by everything
mm,
that I had to do and be. That, yeah, that was for a lot of years until probably my oldest was about 10. I feel like God just started doing something, trying to pull apart at the threads and unravel.
mm.
But it was slow. And I would say now, like I still can fall back into that, needing to kind of keep up appearances. But at this point, I'm 52. It doesn't last for long before I'm like, oh yeah, well that don't no, don't talk like that. And it's not
Can
even
I
don't
take
talk
you
like that.
back?
Yeah, for sure.
Can I take you back? And I'm going to dig a little bit, and feel free
Yeah,
to share whatever you're comfortable with.
for
You
sure.
said that you came from a broken home.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what that looked like.
So I had two brothers. I'm the middle girl, so pretty tough and capable. And at the time, my dad was a first responder firefighter who came from a long line of alcoholic, angry people. And
Mm,
that is what he became. So he was an alcoholic who was the most wonderful, fun, drunk person. He was
mm,
super fun, never pass out weird or whatever, like life of the party, hilarious. It was the next day and any time that he came home from work when you didn't know, he was going to be like, yeah, that was my dad. Ragers, just, yeah, you run for cover if you knew he wasn't in the exact right mood. And then mom was there. And he also hated Christianity. So there was that dynamic. Hated Christianity. No other religion really, but that Christianity. And then my mom was a Christian and was a baby Christian when she married him. Yeah, that's their story. But anyway,
yeah.
so I heard the gospel from her. She lived, yeah, the dynamics of an abuser and the abused is a real one and complicated. So she was there. They were together for all my childhood, but it was a hard one to watch. And so she would tell us about Christianity in secret. And we would
Mm,
secretly go to church if my dad was away on a hunting trip or something like that. So I heard the gospel in little bits and pieces and stuff. So that was an interesting dynamic. So and they ended up separating. They got a divorce when I was almost 30, which was a
wow.
bizarre. Yeah, that was a thing that I'll never forget. Somebody saying to me, "At least you're not a child." And you know how those "at least" statements
Mm,
don't ever really
mhm.
land. Yeah, I remember thinking, it's brutal. Yeah, it was brutal then too.
Yeah. Yeah. No time frame. Is that a great position to be in as a child
No,
when your parents are divorcing?
no, it's not a good time.
And so going with that past and going
Mhm,
into motherhood and going in with such a strong feeling of I want to do all the correct Christian things.
mhm.
Mother had modeled Christianity for you, even though it was in
She
secret.
did.
What a
She did.
what a testimony to
Mhm,
your mother
absolutely. Faithful.
in that. Yeah, wow. And then now you're into motherhood. And would you say this was a spirit of control? Like, I'm going to control
Mhm.
everything that happens in this home, everything that my children do, because I was it all about I don't think it was all about for show that you wanted to look a certain way. I think it was because you genuinely in your heart wanted everything to be just perfect,
Yeah.
probably because you came from such brokenness. I'm gonna piece
Yes.
it all together, all myself, all the broken pieces, and this puzzle is going to be perfect all the time, no broken
Yeah.
pieces. Is that fair assessment?
Absolutely. I mean, there was definitely a piece of like I needed to I needed to look at. To be honest, there was that piece in there too. Like I needed validation. I think growing up in that kind of home where you're the relatives, you're the family that people talk about. You're not, I would go to visit my cousins and they would all go together as a nice little family to church. And that visual as a child is so not what my family looks like. Right. And I felt second tier. I wasn't right in God's eyes and in his economy, but I really did. So that feeling just lingered for so many years. So there was a piece where I wanted some people to look at me like I was looking at
Mm,
my cousins' families, right? And think, oh, look at those people dressed nicely and going to church. And it's just, oh, at the time, I would have never admitted to that.
yeah.
But the bigger piece was definitely that control, that terror of my kids it wasn't just them behaving, it was just the whole household. I wanted to feel like just so unbelievably safe, which is a good thing, but it was so much anxiety around it and stress around
Mhm.
it. And for them to turn out well, right? For
Yeah.
them
You were
to
trying to create what you dreamed for as a child,
totally, totally.
which is fair. That's fair.
Oh yeah,
I
it's a response, right?
Yeah, I think we all go into motherhood, into marriages, into motherhood, and you wanna do it maybe better than what you had seen,
Yeah, for sure.
And in these conversations, I've had a lot of women that have either said, it's always two ends of the spectrum. I want to mom the way my mom did because she was an incredible mom. Or I hear a lot of, I don't ever want a mom the way my mom did because
Yeah.
these are all the things that were wrong. And so oftentimes we're on one or the other spectrums.
Yeah.
And even though maybe you were raised with a mom who was wonderful Christian and did it all right, sometimes we find ourselves in a pit of trying to live up to that. And then we live
Oh,
feeling,
yeah.
I'm not good enough. I'm not doing
Yeah.
it as good as my mom. My mom cooked
Yeah.
every meal. My mom did this. My mom did that. And so now we don't feel like we're good enough.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to do it like my mom did it. And now
Yeah.
we're under a spirit of control and
Yeah.
fear, and we're
Yeah.
trying to control it, make it all different. And so
Yeah.
either one can really be a dangerous place to be
Yeah.
in.
You're absolutely right. Just the power of comparison is it's so grueling. That
Yeah.
comparison. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So take me back to young mom Sheena.
Mhm.
What are some of the things that you were trying to control that you have now realized were really out of your control? And it was becoming more damaging than helpful to your family unit.
Mm. I think when they were in their younger years was their schooling. And it wasn't all that. I'm a trained teacher. I'm a classroom teacher now that my kids are older, but the way they would be schooled and taught, I just put so much. Like I was going to be the sun and the moon. Like they were going to all learn everything from me. We're going to learn at home. And again, like I know a ton of homeschoolers.
Mhm.
Beautiful. There's no criticism if that's where God's calling you and your family. And my husband and I had talked about this a lot now, how in the early years, there wasn't a lot of him and I making decisions. Even though
Mhm.
I can make it feel like he was part of this decision. I tend to be very persuasive and I really, yeah, to be honest, manipulative a lot of times where I would make it feel like it was our decision. It was my decision, like how I would keep so much control over them and who they were friends with and who they encountered, like who they would spend their time with, all that kind of thing. Yeah, I had so much fear of school, of them going to school. And I would be like, what would they be taught all day? Whether it was a Christian school, public school, that I would have to undo or I would have to rewire or something.
Mm.
And not understanding so much more about family culture, and the power of family culture and how much time you do still have with your children and that you have, yeah, that's getting into later realizations. But really, I'd say it was schooling all the way through. And
Mm.
then when I had an actual nervous breakdown and couldn't homeschool because I had been, oh, I was such a good homeschooler, Courtney. You would not believe the stuff that we did and the projects we made and all of the things and the co-ops I had at my house and invited people to and all of the things. And lo and behold, I had a nervous breakdown and my kids
Really?
had to go to, yeah, I did. My body just like migraines to the point where I could hardly get off the couch. My body was so depleted. I went to doctors. It was funny, naturopaths, your body is so depleted. I was in so much pain physically. And I would some days just school them a little bit until lunch. They would have a quiet time there. And so I could just lie flat and recover to make it until my husband got home. And then he would take over everything and cook and take care of the kids and so we realized we can't, this is not sustainable. And
Yeah.
I think that was the beginning of, yeah, the Lord really being like, what are you doing? But they did go to Christian school after that. And even
Did you
then,
know I'm sorry, I'm gonna
yeah,
stop
no,
you.
you go
Did you realize when the nervous breakdown happened that you were putting too much pressure on yourself?
to such a small degree. Like at that time, I really should have been in really good counseling from the minute I was in university, for sure, when I was first married to my husband. I really had this philosophy like, if I just do everything perfectly for my children, it will make
Mm.
up for any lack I have in myself. And if they're good, I'll be good. And that's a real, yeah, pitfall that a lot of parents fall into. Just that whole analogy of the oxygen mask is a good one. Put it on yourself
Yeah.
first, like help yourself get healthy first. So yes, I think to a very small degree, but at that moment, when I should have also I still didn't get counseling. I still didn't really look at the inner workings at that point. I definitely got on a better track, but it was still a long time coming. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
What you just said, you felt like if the kids were good enough, then you were good enough. Your identity was solely wrapped up
Oh, yeah.
in the successes of your children.
Totally.
We
Totally.
talk a lot about that on this show,
Mhm. Mm.
about the pitfall of the successes and the failures of our children and allowing our identity to be wrapped up in that. Like you
Yeah.
said, if my kids are good, I'm good. And
Yeah.
if my kids are bad, I'm bad.
Yeah. It's such a trap. So antithetical to the gospel as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so that was actually the next question I was going to ask
Mm.
you. How was that impacting your identity? And obviously, it was impacting you greatly for you
Mhm.
to end up in a situation where you were so unhealthy physically and
Yeah.
mentally.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward. When did
Mm.
you start realizing I need to make a change? This is a major issue of control for me, and I need to take a step back, and I need to start trusting God more because this control also was a huge lack of trust.
Huge. I think the seeds of it started when, like, I can still actually remember, like, a bit of an epiphany from the Holy Spirit. I was in my bedroom. My oldest daughter was around 10. I just was so struck by this thought, the gospel's for you as well. The
Mm,
gospel, the simplicity of the gospel, of what Christ has done and wants to live through you and restore you. The creation, the fall, the redemption, the restoration that is all in the gospel is for you
mm,
as well. And I was so intent, everything was for them. Everything was like, they understood everything about Jesus and they understood him. They understood and they would come to know and love him. Like everything was like, and that they would have a good education and also be able to go to university one day. Like everything was for them. But the gospel itself is for you. And this is that you are in this idea that you're in this with them. It was, I can't even describe it. It was just like I came down off some weird fantasy land I was living in, is what it felt like. And because I had forgotten, in all those years. So that was a seed. And I know,
because you were teaching your kids all the right things. You're
oh, yeah,
putting them in Christian
yeah,
education. You're bringing
yeah.
them to church. You know the truth.
Yeah, there's a weird disconnect. Like I was on a different tier. I was learning something. I'm like, no, it's like, Lord, you're in this with them. You're learning the gospel too. You need to
Mm,
understand it. It is for you. You need to learn it. You need to sit in it. You need to sit with me. And this has to be a you and me thing before it is a anyone else thing. And yeah, I do remember a whole bunch of weight coming off my being at that point. And I know it had been something my husband had been speaking into my ear for years. And I think that's been a pattern. He's quiet and faithful and he'll say things for a long time before I go, "Oh, what?
mm.
That's what you're saying?" That's getting that thank you by God's grace is getting less, right? I'm hearing people more. But that was the beginning. I think, but it was very slow. And it wasn't until, as you would understand, when I started having young adult children. So I think
Mhm,
everything sped up. And my
mm.
oldest son, I said, was now 26 when she was graduated high school and it was now making decisions. That's when I saw the remnants of like how much control there was still there. And I think that was when I think the healing from a lot of this really sped up actually is when I became young adults. It's like it started then, but it wasn't really picking up speed and God kind of wrenching that from my hands when they were that age.
Yeah. I think if you're living in the false pretense that you have any control whatsoever, you need to get to
Mm,
the teenage, young adult age. And
yeah,
then you're going to start realizing, oh, actually, I don't. It's easy to feel or to actually be in control when our children are younger and they are coming to you for guidance and you are the decision maker in so many areas, what we're wearing,
yeah.
where we're going, what we're eating, what we're doing. And then God went and made them independent thinkers.
Oh,
What?
yeah, yeah.
You didn't ask my permission
Good.
for my child to have their own opinion. And then they begin and so it's that transition that you get them into high school
Mhm.
and they begin to spread their wings because
Yeah.
now you can't go with them everywhere that they're going. Maybe they're driving now and
Yeah.
the outside world is becoming a stronger influence. Their
Yeah.
peers are becoming a stronger influence. And now it can become a tug of war.
Yeah.
And you made a comment very early on in this conversation about being in the trenches of war.
Mhm.
And what we don't want to have happen is that you're at war with your child.
Yeah. No, you don't want that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I am really thankful with my 4 kids. We've gone through some big challenges and things that they have faced. I'm really thankful there hasn't been a big major time where it's like there was rebellion against parents. There was a lot of internal, like there's been some depression, eating disorder. Like we have walked through some hard things
But even
in
in those
that.
hard things, like,
Oh,
how did you as a mom who had a leaning towards control,
yeah.
when you couldn't control the depression, when you couldn't
Mhm.
control the eating disorders, what did your identity look like then?
I think that by then, for the most part, I do still have lingering things of thoughts. So I think by that point, I was more like not, oh man, what are people in church going to think of me? They're probably looking back at, and especially people who have known me for years, are they're looking back and critiquing aspects of my parenting. They must be doing that. I would have like moments of that, but often it was more, I wish I could just tell them that's not what it is. They had their own journey with God. It's almost like I wanted to tell them, "No, don't judge me because that's not what it is." And then I had to let that go. It's like, if that's what they still believe, like they probably didn't, but I had to let
Mhm.
that go as well. But I think for the most part, by the time that was happening, I think that illusion of control was it was so small, like, that had almost gone. And
Mm,
so, I think it was just more the pain of literally watching your
mhm,
kids struggle and suffer. And I was also I think I know that my relationship with the Lord was intimate enough and personal enough. I could just go straight. I could just feel so often I would go straight to him, straight
mm,
to his
mm,
presence. There was times where I would just cry out for comfort, wisdom, mostly comfort because yeah, as we've watched our kids march, like not everything is perfect now, but there's been so much provision. And the Lord, I really feel specifically started showing me things I had nothing to do with. And the
mm,
good things that have happened for my kids, honestly, there's been some provisions spiritually, financially, educationally that happened. And I'm just, oh, I literally had no hand in. And my kids
mm.
even joked because my kids know what I'm like. I can be like a make it happen kind of person. And they've even said, yeah, no, mom, this happened literally without you even knowing about it. And so like, God's been very gracious and just reminding, like, I can do this. I can do
Yeah.
this. Yeah. And also, I think a journey that was really important for me to take. I'm a writer. I have a blog and a book and something that articles that it just keeps coming up in things that I have done for myself or for other people is this real fixation I've had on the prodigal son, but not so much as we've heard it, but also in comparing, just we often talk about the terror and the fear of having a prodigal. And I felt that for a lot of the typical prodigal son, like the one that walks away and does all the things that we told them not to do or whatever. But it hit me somewhere along when they were starting to be young adults is how many people were saying that. There's so much written or talked about, oh, yeah, oh, not the terror of having a prodigal. And it started to hit me. I was reading my Bible one day about the rich young ruler. And I was reading the rich young ruler and I thought, I've literally never had a parent say they're afraid of having a rich young ruler, which is a
Mhm.
far more terrifying child to have.
Mm.
Far more terrifying. The prodigal got it. We are the prodigal. He understood that is what we want, in fact. We want a child. And so when I started realizing that, I really started releasing my kids. You need to figure this out. Like even the moment I have a child who is really questioning her faith and asking questions about not so much about Jesus, but about Christians and the church, which is fair. And I can let her go. Like, it's okay. I don't want you to have a false, contrived faith. that's built like a house of sticks. Like I want them to have a
Yeah.
good foundation. And so if it means that they are prodigal, where they're wandering for a while until they can figure out, and they come running back to a father who's running to them. What more could we want for our kids? But
Yeah.
the rich young ruler, nobody, like that is often what, without realizing it, what we're going for. We're
Mm-mm.
okay if our kids like, oh yes, Johnny's in Bible school and he's been teaching for the pastor once in a while and he knows all his theology and his doctrine. And we're not checking in with John to say, do you actually know Jesus? Are you actually okay? Do you understand? You know what I mean? We're okay to let it go. But the
Because
rich
it
young
looks good.
ruler, it looks good. And if a young man comes into the church and oh, rich young ruler, will you come and meet my daughter? You know what I mean? Where that's who we're looking for without kind of digging deeper. Where are they at spiritually? What's going on? And
Mm.
Jesus asked him to leave. He said, sorry, that's, that is, that's the
Wow.
thing
This is
we don't know who
powerful.
say,
This is enlightening to me
yeah, it
because you're
was for
right.
me.
Yeah, this is now I'm like, I need to go back. I want to read his story again.
Mhm.
And because you're right, it's always, oh, you have a prodigal. It's this
I,
wah wah, poor
I
you.
know.
And the comparison
Yeah.
is
It's
powerful.
wild. It's wild. That broke my
But
heart.
it's
And I
what does it
was,
look like? What does it
yeah,
look like to the outside world? It
yeah,
appears that the rich young ruler has it all
yeah,
together.
yeah,
And then guess what? It makes us feel good that they
yeah.
have it all together
Oh,
versus being the
yeah,
mom that says, I have a prodigal.
yeah,
And standing on that porch with a prodigal, I've been there. And you keep wanting to be the father that's running towards him. And I had a really dear friend, my counselor, actually, when we were in a conversation about my son, tell me, stay on the porch. And I was like,
yeah.
what? And she was like, stay on the porch. Like he'll come back, but
Got to
you
come to
can't
you
keep running if he's not coming
if
back
he's
yet.
not coming back. Yeah. That's
Yeah. And it
really
was,
good advice. Hard.
oh, so
So
hard.
hard.
So
And I
hard.
know, yeah. And you don't want to make light. Like I for sure am not making, I know people who are still in the midst of some hard stories. It's not to make light, like, oh yeah, we want to have a prodigal. In the heart, just reminding, like in the heart, that is what God wants all of us to have, that humility of understanding the gospel. In that is not, yeah, it is, it's hard. It's really, really hard.
Gosh.
Yeah. We pray for a
How do
lot
you,
of kids.
yeah. How do you stand in that tension though, between being available for your kids and letting them face the natural consequences of their choices?
Man, that's hard. Is just you need to have a great community of people praying with you for sure. For
Mm,
sure. It is, it's not easy. I think that's the only thing in going to the Lord. There's one time I remember just being in my bedroom by myself and just crying and being in so much terror for one of my children because of just where they were at. And yeah, it was just many times where the Lord just overwhelmed me with peace. Like, you don't know what's happening here. And yeah, it's hard though, because things sometimes do not end well. It's no joke. And it
yeah.
is hard, but continually, it's the only thing is presence with him in his
Mm.
word. Like, that is it.
Yeah. That goes back to it really doesn't matter how much you have taught your children about the
Mm-mm.
gospel, how much you've brought them to church. You can do all of those things. In those moments, it does circle back to where is your relationship with the Lord? Where is your
Yeah.
trust in him?
You can't
Yes,
bypass that.
you've given them a foundation. That's fantastic. But at the same time, like what you were saying, in all of this head knowledge that you were passing on to your children,
Yeah.
you were missing the heart knowledge
Yeah.
that God was saying, "Hey, wait a minute. This is about
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
This is about you."
Yeah. And I wasn't like, I didn't realize how much I was not passing that on, especially in the younger years. As
Mhm.
my kids have gone on to some like really cool discipleship type programs for young adults, they have come back and like with like, why didn't you tell us about
Mm.
XYZ things that were heart based? And I was like, oh, wow, that was hard to hear.
Yeah.
You didn't know, I didn't share that. I didn't
Mm.
share. And I know that in some ways I did. They weren't ready to hear it because they get to a point where that you need the community. And I think that was I remember leaving the hospital with my youngest child. I mean, sorry, my oldest child. The first time had a baby that I was taking from the hospital, and I thought I was kidnapping them. But you're like, "Well, why am I allowed to do this?" I have ADHD that I've only come to be diagnosed in my adulthood. And at the time, I'm thinking like, I lose everything all of the time. But I saw my husband, I saw a poster that said, it takes a village to raise a child, that we've heard that
Mhm.
1,000 times. And remember, we actually looked at each other. No,
Oh.
yeah, no, we got this. We got
Mhm.
this. It's so sad and funny. Wow, what the heck were we thinking? No, you need people. And yes, of course, that family unit and that your voice in their lives is huge, especially for those younger years. But just, I would encourage moms to let go of some of the reins earlier, having different adults and young adults speaking into their life, let it go. And I think that has been a
Mhm.
beautiful thing for all of my kids. They've had other amazing, yeah, Christian adults, people older than mentors. All of them have had that. And it's been huge. And I can happily step back a bit
Yeah.
and unless they
Well,
seriously come to me for advice, I can,
yeah.
yeah.
And when they're younger, you want them to fail in your home. You want
Hmm.
them to fall. You want them
You
to face
do.
things because it is a safe place. It's much easier to pick a child up that's
Totally.
still in your home and guide them and mentor them and love them through challenges. It's a lot harder if everything has been perfect and everything has been bubble
Yeah.
wrapped. And then you send them to university and hey, guess what, guys? Life is hard and life
Yeah.
is
It's a
going to be
shocker.
hard for all of
Yeah.
us. And
Exactly.
now they'd have no idea
Yeah.
how to process or to handle difficult situations.
Exactly.
And so I know young mamas that are listening are like, "I don't ever want them out of my sight. The world's
Yeah.
gonna beat them up. The world's gonna beat them up whether they are
Yep.
out of your sight at this age or not,
Yep.
because we live in a broken world."
Yep. It's just
And it's
true.
finding that balance of letting go and training and letting go a little bit more, and maybe you have to
Yeah.
pull the reins back. I've done that a few times too. "Hey, I'm gonna give you
100%. Yeah.
more rain, and, oh, look, you weren't ready. You weren't ready.
And I'll take
I'm
the
gonna
car keys,
pull
thank you.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna pull it back."
Yeah, yeah.
I wanna talk to you. You've been telling us about your story as a mom, but you're a
Mhm,
teacher, and I want you to speak from a teacher's perspective of what
mhm.
you are seeing with children in your classroom.
Yeah,
What are you seeing coming out of, and I bet you can identify the children that are living with situations that are very full of control. Let's
mhm.
talk from that hat.
Yeah. Yeah, a couple of years ago, yeah, I do remember I teach at the moment grade 7, I've taught grade 5, 6 as well, and just I love teaching at this age, at this stage. So I took a lot of years off while I was raising my kids and then came back, and I love it. The perspective is so different, and just a connection I can have with the moms and being able to just talk them off the ledge a lot. And
Mhm.
I do remember one mom in particular who I could tell it was just interesting. She also had 4 kids like me, doing an amazing family, lovely, lovely family. But I could just tell, I bet she's had a similar background to me. I bet
Mm.
her her growing up years were rough because I just could resonate with the energy and the way she was trying to convince me before anything, like a most lovely daughter who was in my class, but perfectionist. Like everything she handed in, right, was perfect and put so much pressure on herself to be this super sweet, super good girl that she couldn't even really relate well to some of the kids in the class, especially the boys who were teasing her. She didn't know how to stand up to them. They needed to learn to not be jerks, but that's a whole other story. Anyway, we sorted them
Yes,
all out.
13-year-old boys.
Good grief. So yeah, it's not like they didn't have consequences, but learning even with her friend group, right? There was just so much. And then so I would have that, and then I also have the mom, like, why? Why? Like I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. We're doing all these right things in the home and all of that, right?
Yeah.
And so it was just a real privilege to be able to walk her through that a little bit and be like, hey, you know what? She's good. Like, she's good. But you have to let her not be good sometimes and just not
Yeah.
be perfect for you. And I actually would do role play with this girl sometimes just to like stand up for herself. And being a respectable person means you actually have to be a little bit like aggressive and stand up and not always say things that people want to hear. So we had to
Mm.
go through some little role play, and her mom was fine with that. She okayed that. And it was awesome to see her change over the year. But yeah, that was interesting. Another thing that I see, I am at a Christian school, and I have been seeing is just the unwillingness to admit wrong. And cause so there's just, I'm like, guys, you're just lying. Like, I literally saw you do something. And no, but I didn't. I'm like, well, where, just admit it. And so I'm curious about that. I even saw that with my kids too, where they're taught so much, okay, this is the right thing. And not, that's not the same as the gospel. When okay, this is the way you behave. This is the way you act. This is the way you act. It's almost like there's no, the
The
process
grace is
of
gone.
the grace is gone. There's no freedom to repent, be
Yeah.
forgiven, and move on. And I have
Yeah.
this like a little token system in my classroom where they do things, they earn a class party. And I've been talking to them a lot about this. I'm like, guys, I would so rather you just, yeah, I did that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And nobody was doing it. It was still like, I was like, okay, this battle is not going to be end well. And this one day I saw a girl throw something at someone while I'm teaching. And I just looked at her, and she actually turned around and started saying, oh, like it wasn't me or something. I'm like, dude. And so I just kept looking at her, and she started, I'm really sorry, Mrs. Heinrichs. I'm really sorry. The whole class was a hush. And I almost started crying. I was like, I took a handful of tokens and I just put them in a jar. I'm like, you are forgiven. Thank you so much. And so
Mhm.
it's starting to, but it's that fear of just, yeah, we forget as Christian parents, like we have to give room for failure. Like you were saying earlier, I think there's just been that disconnect where we're forgetting to give room for failure. And there's a sense in which like, I want to call you up to better behavior, but I also want to remind you, I expect you to do badly some days. I expect that bad things are going to happen and you're going to have to apologize. And I'm going to ask your forgiveness as well, because I'm going to get mad, or I'm going to lose my temper as a teacher, or I
Right.
will apologize. That's where I'm going back to when my kids were little and we are living the gospel together, that we
Mhm.
have to go to our kids and say, hey,
If you're living the gospel, you've got to live all of the gospel. You can't cherry pick the parts of it that you want to
yeah,
live in your home. And
yeah,
as you're explaining that, I'm thinking that starts in the home
yeah,
and if a child doesn't feel like they can ever mess up because mom's identity is wrapped up in their successes,
yeah.
we're full circle
That's,
back to mom painting this picture that everything's perfect. So then child
yeah,
says everything has to be perfect.
yeah,
And because that's what makes mom look good. That's what makes the family look good. Oh, now I look good. And here's what makes me, I'm going to get on a little bit of a soapbox.
you go
What
for it.
frustrates me, since kiddo number one, I have sat in so many award ceremonies at
Mm,
schools,
mm,
and you can almost pick out who's going to get the awards before they ever even
yeah,
say them.
yeah.
And sometimes I want so badly for somebody to get up there and be like, I'm going to give an award for the child in the classroom that was the toughest kid. Or it's always, you can almost witness it in the family
Mm-hmm,
that walks in. You can tell the way the family walked in. You can tell where the family
mm-hmm,
sits
mm-hmm,
in
mm-hmm.
the auditorium. You can tell by the way they're dressed.
Yeah,
It just almost makes me giggle. It's
yeah.
always,
That
and my
is
kids and I have
hilarious.
actually talked about it. And sometimes it's repeated. It's, oh, if
Yeah,
that sibling did it, then that sibling's going to
yeah,
do it.
yeah,
And it becomes comical that,
yeah,
and you do, sometimes I've wondered and felt
yeah,
bad what's happening inside the home.
yeah, for sure.
And when are we going to hit a point that life isn't going to be so kind?
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't
That's
loved
crazy.
that life hasn't been kind to our
Yeah,
family all the time. I haven't loved
yeah,
that my children have made choices that were unkind to themselves and unkind to our
yeah,
family unit.
yeah,
But I can also sit back and say, gosh, I hope we've learned something
yeah,
because there's going to be other things.
yeah,
That being married as
yeah,
long as you've been
yeah.
married, there's going to be things when they get married. And
Exactly.
And that's the conversation I have with my adult children when they're dating and they're preparing themselves for marriage. You can
Mm,
see that in a dating relationship. How does that
yeah,
person handle adversity? How does
yeah,
that person handle when things aren't going great? Because
yeah,
guess
yeah,
what? There's going to be difficult things in marriage. And how are you
yeah,
going to handle it?
yeah,
Um,
exactly. I'm really thankful that there's been a lot more now writing and research and talk around building resiliency in kids. This is
yeah,
because we've gone that full circle, like of the kids being raised in these, I mean, from different terms like safetyism and like the bubble wrap and all of this. And I've definitely seen that as a teacher. Um,
yeah.
I think partly being, and I mean, now I'm just outside of Vancouver in a smaller community, and I feel like parents are, there is more, I don't know if it's just like a working class mindset where it's like tradesmen who are just like practical that I really love, I have to say, about there's kids who are getting just more this and mom like that, hey, on a Friday, this is what happened with your son. It wasn't cool. This is what I just want me to let you know. It wasn't cool. He comes back Monday and is like, I had to shovel gravel for 5 hours. They're like, hey, no, we're going to deal with this. And I do love that about my community where they're not treating them like, yeah, like these little precious things that won't break. And the kids, I think, are more dealing with that. We also have a principal of our school and encouraging us to read different books on building resiliency in children. And I
Mm,
think if parents can get their hands on that kind of stuff, I think, yeah, it is so good, like
yeah.
you said, to
That's a
have
great point.
those, yeah, to have those things. And there's a lot more coming out on
Mm,
like just so
mm.
yeah,
Well,
letting
because
fail.
I think what's happening, this is my own personal opinion, is we're seeing a little bit of a shift. We've had a generation of everybody gets a trophy,
Yeah, it's shifting.
and we're seeing those kids go, "Wait, I don't get a trophy? Wait,
Yeah,
life
where's my
doesn't give me a
raise?
trophy?"
Why
Yeah,
don't I have a raise right
yeah,
now? Yeah,
yeah, and now
it's
all of a sudden they can't cope,
mhm.
and so I think society's going, "Oh, maybe that wasn't the best idea.
Yeah, you
Maybe it
don't
wasn't the best
get,
idea. It's
yeah,
okay to
you don't
lose.
get the
It's okay to
promotion
not."
right away.
Yeah, not everybody in the tournament gets the same size trophy.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
winners and there's losers.
yeah,
And
yeah, for
there's a lot
sure.
to be said about the loser and when you fail at something, then building the resiliency, building the grit, building the desire to do better.
Yeah.
If I'm getting a trophy every time I do something, why would I ever wanna be better?
Oh, totally.
I got a
Yeah,
trophy for being
yeah.
subpar.
Subpar. Yeah, exactly. No, it is shifting. And it's really good to see.
Yeah.
And I love that. It's so funny what you said about the trophy, the words ceremonies. It is so true. And I do wish we could like, yeah, we could find ways of awarding different things. That is,
Yeah.
yeah. Awarding the teacher for having the toughest class one year. No.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
awarding, yeah, just kids with determination and
yeah.
awarding integrity and things like this. Like, yeah, but not awarding everybody. Yeah, I think that's really good. And also just, yeah, something that I am obsessed with from the minute a kid walks into my classroom till the whole year, I can now by the end of the year, I open my mouth and they can finish a sentence, but you're made in the image of God, its intention and purpose. Like you have to start there before any other identity, whether you are just continually failing your math test or whether you are acing your math test. I tell them, like,
Yeah, yeah,
either way, you're in grade 7 and this is not your identity. Either way, you have
yeah.
a whole life ahead of you. And what happened here, what happens today, what happened on the basketball court when one of your basketball teammates said that you suck, which happens, unfortunately, like that, none of that is your identity. Like you are an
Yeah.
image bearer. You're an image bearer of the Most High God, like to start with, because
Mm,
that's what happened in the Bible before the fall. And then we can talk about the fall and then we can talk about the gospel and what Christ has
mhm.
done to redeem us. But we keep going back to that. Like we keep going back to that because I do worry how much we allow just by default without checking. And I look with my own kids, I'm saying this when they came back to me after going to some of these discipleship type schools like a YWAM and that type of a thing, how much their identity had wrapped up in the wrong things. And I know you can't
Mm,
always avoid that, but I think if we are starting from reminding our kids, like your primary identity is who God
yeah,
says you are from the beginning, that's my hope, that,
yeah.
yeah, that they'll have that. or
Mhm.
lodged in their head.
I've got 2 final questions for you.
Okay.
What would you tell younger Sheena
Mm.
who is overwhelmed and feeling guilty because she's been trying to play God in her child's
Mhm.
life?
Oh, as I take a huge breath, I would say just breathe. You're doing awesome, honey, and get some help. Find a good counselor. Find a good counselor who knows Jesus, who can just take some load off, and you're doing good. And they're good. They're good. Your kid just enjoy. I think that is what so many people say about being grandparents. So I can just enjoy it. I would love to encourage moms. And I know when I was in the thick of it with like I had 4 kids under 6. I'm sure yeah, you remember many times of overwhelmed. Oh, just enjoy. You're like, it's a lot. But I think in a sense of just enjoy, like physically it's wild, but just enjoy where they're at. It's okay. Like you don't have to have it all. I think just get help and just enjoy whatever mature things I could tell myself. Yeah.
Well, I think the grandparent phase, you can enjoy it because you're not trying to control it. Your
I
identity
think
isn't wrapped up
so.
in those
I
children.
think so. You truly cannot.
Yeah,
So they're not yours. And that is what I've been taught. I don't have grandchildren. I'm super excited about that phase. But my friends who
it's
do,
fun.
that looks so
I have a
that's so
few, and
fun.
it's a totally different. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not screwing you up. It's not my fault." Or I'm not that's
Yeah.
the thing. My
Yeah.
identity isn't wrapped up in them. Not that they're screwed up in any
Yeah. Yeah.
shape or form. They're
Of
too
course
young and they're too precious,
not.
but
Yes, I
it's
do.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we need to find a marriage as moms of
Yeah. If we can take a little bit of
letting
that
go
into
of
our
that.
parenting to believe
Yeah,
that's the truth. It is just the truth. You aren't
yeah,
really in a lot of control. We know we've had toddlers who already exert their, we know we don't have a
yeah,
ton. We don't have
yeah.
a ton anyway. Yeah.
I close out every conversation with asking,
Mm.
is there something you're praying for that we could join
Mhm.
you in prayer? And do you have a scripture that you could share with the listeners?
I would love prayer for continuing to navigate the young adults season and just what my life with my husband looks like as they slowly leave the nest. Yeah, and just
Yeah.
making good choices, how to be in good relationship with them.
Mm.
And yeah, I think that would be like how to, yeah, just continually not say the things or say the things that are needed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to have
I feel like
just to continue to enjoy as we're
we could
talking
have
about
a whole other
healing.
conversation about
Yeah.
adult children and
Yeah.
where to step
Exactly.
in and where to hold back and let them fall. It's okay.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And the scripture, I'm just looking at it right now because I want to make sure I don't get it wrong. I have it on a chalkboard in my house, and it means a lot to me. From Psalm 34, verse 4 and 5. I sought the Lord, and he answered me and delivered me from all my fears. Those who look to him are radiant, and their faces shall never be ashamed. We do not have a God who wants us to feel ashamed ever. And shame is such a big piece. And shame is, I think, a lot of what I was trying to hide. I had shame. I was still, as I said, feeling second class from my childhood, feeling like, yeah, I had to answer for all the things that I experienced as a child. I had to rectify it all in one generation. That's
Mm,
a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. And so I know there's a lot of moms out there who are in that, and it is not your job, but also God might like God does these things. And just one more verse really quickly that my mom and
yeah.
I, for years from the time I became a Christian when I was 16, and then I convinced my mom to face my dad's wrath and start going to church with me. And we started to pray together, and it was from Joel that God restores the years that the locust has eaten. And that can take a lot of time, but that is who he is. And we have seen from like God restoring relationships with both of my brothers who were estranged. For one, it was over 13 years, and another one that was just horribly rocky. They are two of my best friends now. I look at that verse and you don't understand what God can do. and what God can do, even as my kids who've had some battles. Beautiful. He gives when he gives back. It's double impressive. And to just let him do it. You don't have to do it all. Let him do the work. Yeah, let him do it. It's way better when he does it. It's way better.
Absolutely.
When you let go, when you just let go, let him do it and give the thing. He gives abundantly more than we can ask or imagine. And yet we're trying to imagine all the time what it's going to look like. And he's out. This is what it's going to look like.
Yeah. Gosh, so true. And such good insight. I appreciate you sharing your story so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for listening to The Mom Show with Courtney Doyle. Remember to check the show notes for any links, books, or resources that are mentioned in each episode. We want to be sure this blesses other mothers. And in order to do this, if you're listening via podcast, be sure that you like and share. If you could write a review, that would be fantastic. It helps us get in front of other moms. If you're watching via YouTube, be sure to hit that subscribe button. This way, you won't ever miss an episode. We want to make sure that we increase our reach to other mothers who need a little encouragement, a community, and a whole lot of Jesus. We're so glad you're here.